Hello and welcome to the Arsenal Way. Back again with you guys for another episode of our Arsenal Agenda series. Joining you Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. UK time. I'm joined by Umar. How you doing, mate? You good? You well?
Yeah, I'm not bad, Tom. How you doing?
Yeah, not too shabby. I mean, the weekend is over. The games are nearly coming thick and fast. The Premier League starts on Friday with Arsenal also kicking things off, of course. I'm excited. Apprehensive still a little bit, but I'm excited. How do you feel about the new season coming?
I made my feelings clear after the match reaction stream on Saturday after the Sevilla game, and I'm buzzing, to be honest. Obviously, there's a little bit of nerves, as there always is when you're an Arsenal fan. But I think if you're not excited for the start of the season, I think you're watching the wrong sport, probably the wrong team, because the happiness is there. The players seem to be. There's a feel good factor, I think, around the whole club at the moment, whether that's within the fan base or whether that's in and around the team. And right now, it feels good to be an Arsenal fan, and I've not felt like this for a long time, to be honest. So whenever season starts, you have that expectation, you have hopes. Yesterday, I'll be honest, I was thinking about, I spoke to Guy, we had the phone call, and he was just speaking about the game, the Sevilla game, 6-0, and he says, between me and you, he was apprehensive as well before, but he says,
Did you
Umar,
just
we
say
can
between me
challenge.
and you on a live
Yeah.
show?
Yeah. But he thinks we can challenge TC. He thinks we can challenge, and you never know. Obviously, we've got a squad there, a first team which is capable of performing week in, week out. Don't get me wrong. There's quality there, but you never know. You just never know what this season can throw. But again, we need to be focusing on the Europa League. We need to be looking to win that because I think it's a competition that we can win, that is attainable. Who we would love to win a European trophy because I think it will be very, very successful. But again, like you said, like you touched on, competing for the FA Cup, competing for the League Cup. Again, it will be great as fans if you can lift the trophy. But obviously, the priority is going to be to get back into the Champions League. That's the main objective, to be in and around the top four, to get into the top four. But why does it just have to be top four? Why can't we look higher? Why can't we look for third place? Why can't we look to compete with the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool? Because as fans, we'll be thinking, yeah, top four, we'll be happy with that. But 100% Mikel Arteta, in the back of his mind, he'll be thinking, no, why can't we compete with Manchester City and Liverpool? Because he's a winner and he won't be thinking top four is good enough. He'll be looking to increase the club's expectations. So I'm buzzing. Yeah, bring on Friday night.
I still can't get over the fact that guys told you in confidence that we're going for way more than this, and you're like, between us on this show,
It has to be.
guys,
It
if you're
has to be done.
watching, you've been outed, my friend.
I love the confidence.
Yeah, no, so do I. Look, I love that the fact that the majority of the fan base are talking about, more than just top four. That's great. That's where I want to be as a fan. I want to be optimistic. I want to be looking ahead to the new season with the ideal that Arsenal can get where we need them to be, which is back at the top and winning trophies, winning titles one day. That's what I want. It's going to take some time still, I think, to get there, but this optimism, giddy optimism, is probably an accurate way of putting it, is a really good place to be.
Yeah.
But there's still lots of work that Arsenal need to do regarding the squad, of course, before we get to the end of the window and to get it into a really interesting place. We didn't really get to react to a lot of what Mikel Arteta said after the game on Saturday because we wrapped things up pretty quickly. But he was asked about the idea of transfers, and he said that they still want to do more. They still want to add more to the team. That's encouraging. We've seen
Yeah.
previously both Arteta, Wenger, Emery just pretty much rule out the idea of going, well, if something comes up, we might do something, and it was just a really kind of letdown of a statement. But Arteta is saying that, they want to do more. They want to be more active. They want to get more stuff done. And he talked about the fact that we're starting to see more things happening in the other direction in terms of players leaving, which hopefully will open the door for Arsenal to do more before the window closes.
I really like transparency, TC, and you've touched on before. Arsene Wenger used to be a bit coy. Even Unai Emery at times was a bit coy when they came to transfers. But whenever Mikel Arteta is asked a question from the media or from journalists, he's transparent. He gives honest answers. He gives clarity, and I love that as a fan because as a fan, I want him to be honest, and he's being honest because he's well aware that they still need to add a few more players in this team to make it much better than it already is. Whether that happens or not, again, we're not privy to in terms of the outgoings, how that's going to fare, or we're not privy to how much money we can get for the likes of Lucas Torre, Ainsley Maitland-Niles. But the fact that Mikel Arteta has come out and said repeatedly that, look, we want to add more players to this squad, we want to add more strength in numbers and want to add more quality to this squad, is a good sign, because he's not stopping with the likes of Zinchenko, Gabriel
Mm.
Jesus, Fabio Vieira. He's going for more, he's going for more. You need to remember, this was a guy who was working with Pep Guardiola, who was working with Manchester City, who are winning year on year. He knows what it takes to be the best teams in England. So the fact that he's realizing this, I think it's a good sign for Arsenal for not only this transfer window, for the next January and the next summer, because he's not going to stop with just few
Mm.
players. He just wants more. So I think it's good signs for the club.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, the fact that we've got this ambition to improve the squad, to be ruthless about individual players in the team, that's obviously a really good sign too. There was a question in the chat box from Paul who says, what are the key positions currently unfilled? You look at Arsenal's starting 11 that they used, and it was a starting 11 without the likes of Smith Rowe, Vieira, Tomiyasu, Tierney, still all to come back, and we'll see where they kind of feature in the first 11 as well. But it was a first team squad that, when you think about if we're going to sign someone, they don't go straight in the team.
Yeah,
Tielemans, of course, we talk a lot about in central midfield. Xhaka is and has been doing very well. And, to displace him is going to be difficult. And that's props to him and his performances. He looks like the most vulnerable. You think about the
yeah,
positions in the whole 11. Tomiyasu obviously comes in at right back for White, of course, for me when he's fit. But Xhaka's position is probably the most vulnerable of the lot. But that is not to say that he's been poor or that he's not good enough. I like Xhaka. I think he brings a lot to the team. But do you agree that if we're going to sign someone, that centre midfield is probably the most prioritizing area?
yeah, 100%. Don't get me wrong. I'm a massive Granit Xhaka fan. I think the stick that he gets at times is unwarranted, because I think he's a very, very, very good player. But if Arsenal are to be a team which is challenging in the Champions League, or is challenging year on year in the Premier League over the course of 38 games, I think we can improve on Granit Xhaka, and we can improve on that area of the pitch. So for me, it does make sense. If Arsenal want to go to the next level, they can get an improvement there. But again, whether that's Yuri Tillemans, whether that's Lucas Paqueta, it remains to be seen. But Granit Xhaka is doing what he does always. The doubters are always on his case. They're thinking Granit Xhaka needs to be removed as soon as possible. But he keeps on coming with these performances. And what I can say, the best thing I can say about Shaka is he's reliable. And reliability, I think, in the Premier League and for a big club like Arsenal is rare, because right now we've got a good team, a talented team, a young team, but experience and players who have done it for a long time is also very important for a team that needs to be successful. Manchester City, they had Fernandinho, who was playing year on year, and Pep Guardiola trusted him. And when you look at this Arsenal team, there's not many experienced figures. There's players that have played at the highest level for a long time, but Granit Xhaka has been at Arsenal for so many years.
Yeah.
So he brings that experience. I think during big games, you can just rely on him. And I know some people may say he gets sent off, this and that, but I think you need to look at it from afar, and you need to give him credit, because I think Granit Xhaka is a very good player. But like you touched on, if we are to improve, I think that's the position that we can improve on.
Yeah, I think so. Xhaka, as you say, I like him a lot. He takes us to a certain level, but I think there is obviously a restriction to how much you can give to a team.
Yeah,
And if Arsenal can get a better player, then they should do that. That's how you ruthlessly deal with a squad. It's by making sure that you continue to improve upon the existing parts of it. The other key area, I think, as Paul points out, is probably the forward position. If one of Jesus or Nketiah is injured, suddenly we are very light in the number 9 role. I think a wide forward with the ability to play in the middle is where we need to look to. I look at the right hand side as the main kind of area, because if we bring one in, Nelson, Pepe probably would end up moving on, or you'd think they would at least move on. And then on the left-hand side, you've got Smith Rowe, Martinelli, who aren't going to shift. They aren't going to go anywhere. But on the right-hand side, there is more vulnerabilities for players that could leave. So I think that, yeah, in terms of a forward player, it's going to be that wide player with the scope to play in the middle. We're going to be even lighter in the middle because Folarin Balogun looks like he's close to leaving to go to Reims on loan. What do you make of that as a decision? Because people have talked about him needing to go to another championship team or to a Premier League team. He's going to Liga. He's playing in one of the top 5 leagues in the world. Is that a good move for him?
I think it is. I read that there was a few Premier League teams that were eyeing him as well. But I think what Balogun needs is regular first team minutes. Even I think at times for Middlesbrough, he didn't. He was fiddles out in and out of the team. I think under Chris Wilder. So at times Chris Wilder was playing him. Towards the end of the season, I think he played a lot of games, but at times he was coming off the bench. So I think what Balogun needs for right now for his development, I think he's 21 years of age.
Mm.
He just needs regular first team minutes. And Arsenal are starting to rely on League a lot. You got Nuno Tavares who's gone to Marseille. William Saliba had that loan spell at Marseille. Ganduzi, obviously, he's gone to Marseille. So Arsenal realize there's something there in that division because I think for Balogun, I think Rems sold Hugo Etiquette to PSG. I think he's gone on out on loan there. So Balogun will be filling that void of Hugo Etiquette, who is highly regarded. So Balogun will have the main number 9 position for Rems. So I think it is a good move for his development. There'll be no buyout, buyback option
Mm.
or stuff like that. So 1 year for him to just play first team minutes. And what I think Balogun can potentially do, I think he can potentially be a winger as well. That's just me thinking out
Mm.
loud because he's got the body frame, he's got the physicality, he's got the pace to go in behind, and maybe Arteta and the backroom staff are thinking something like that. That Balogun could potentially, in a few years' time, be an option as a versatile winger who can play across the front line. But that remains to be seen. But when you think about the move, I think it is a good move, and fingers crossed it does work out for him.
Yeah, indeed. I think Balogun is a player of obviously great potential. I don't think he's on the level of Nketiah yet. I think Nketiah has proven, especially in the last season, the difference between the two. I think Balogun's been given opportunities to play for the Arsenal senior side, not necessarily taken them as of yet. We've seen some promising moments, like we did when he scored against was it Dundalk in the Europa League, and
Yeah.
Mulder as well in the Europa League on his debut. There were some flashes of positivity, but I also think when he's played in some games, he's not necessarily grabbed those chances. Similar to kind of Reece Nelson at the beginning of his Arsenal career, didn't necessarily grab and grasp those chances. So him now getting a loan abroad for a season will be about where his pathway maybe diverges from Nelson, who went to Hoffenheim for a season, started well, but really trailed off and didn't fit in. He talks in interviews about Nelson, how he didn't really make the right decisions when he was younger. I don't have that same worry with Balogun. I think he is focused, determined to kind of make it as he can at Arsenal, and a loan move to Rem in Liga is going to be of a really great benefit to him. Leno is also closing on an exit to Fulham. They've agreed a deal with Arsenal for around £8 million. Have we undersold Leno, do you think, at all?
Um, Potentially, but I think too much is being said about the price tag. What could Arsenal have realistically got? Potentially 10 million pounds, but you need to take into consideration Leno's wages. He's probably on a what, a TC 100k or 100k a week. I'm not sure, but his age, what he wants as well, because that's a big factor. You
Mm.
need to obviously look at what the player wants. The players come out and said so many times he's settled in London. He loves the London lifestyle. He thinks of London as home. So when you've got only one team really interested in him, sometimes you just have to take it on the chin and think fair enough. The guy, I think he's been a professional for Arsenal. He's never really come into the media and said a bad word about the club. He's always knuckled down. He's had this competition with Ramsdale, but whenever he had that opportunity, even back to last season against Aston Villa, he came in and done a job and he's performed. So he goes with my best wishes, if I'm honest, because I think there's a good goalkeeper there. Unfortunately, it's not worked out the way that we had hoped. He's a good shot stopper, but the way that Arsenal want to play moving forward, by playing out the back. I just don't think he's good enough with his feet. But that doesn't mean he's a bad goalkeeper, because he isn't. You're not a bad goalkeeper if you played for Arsenal, for Bayer Leverkusen, for Germany. Sometimes it just doesn't work out the way that you'd hoped. But I think Fulham's a good move for him. He'll be playing week in, week out. So yeah, again, he goes with my best wishes. So I think 8 million. Hopefully, we can put into the transfer kitty, and we can get a potential player like Yuri Tillemans. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, there was a comment here from Williams who says somehow I feel like Tillemans might not be the upgrade we need, the one we want, but maybe not the one we need. And I think that's fair. I think the difference between Thomas Partey and Lokonga and El Neni, there's a gap there. We know that. Upgrading the depth at defensive midfield might be something Arsenal need to address. It might not happen this window. El Neni has a year left on his deal after he extended for that year. Lokonga, we don't know really what development he's going to go through this season. So I think the number 6 position might be something that's looked at in 2023 rather than this summer. But I still do think we need a progressive left-sided 8 to play in that role and compete with Xhaka for that position. Can Vieira play that? Maybe. And we don't know what we're going to get from Vieira yet. So there's a chance that he even takes that position like duck to water, and we hope that he does. But that's a question. Graham says, TC and Umar, do you think Arsenal might bring in another forward late in the window, perhaps on loan? Or do you think we'll go after another winger who can play centrally? Interesting. We've talked obviously at length about the idea of a wide forward and what they can bring. But to pick out specifically from that question, the loan aspect, do you feel as though Arsenal may utilise the loan market if we get towards the last week of the window and there are still areas that Arteta wants to strengthen?
Potentially, but who is realistically out there off the top of your head? I know you're a big fan of Asensio, and that could be potentially one to ponder in the coming weeks of the window, because if a loan deal is offered, and say Carlo Ancelotti wants to just get Asensio out of his Real Madrid squad, it may not be a bad alternative. Like right now for me, TC, I think that the winger wide forward option is quite limited.
Yeah.
I think there's players that are there which can be good, Cody Gakpo, Elise, but they are players who are just looking to improve upon their development. They're not at the stage where you think, wow, they are world beaters. They are going to get Arsenal firing into the Champions League. They're going to be helping Arsenal compete with Manchester City and Liverpool. When Rafinha came about that link, I was like, wow, this could be a very, very good signing. But since that link obviously didn't materialize the way we had hoped, it's gone. For me personally, it's gone a bit. When the links come about, when you see the players in the media, even like Cody Gakpo, he's a talented player there, but it does not get me excited the way I hope. Because for me, Bukayo Saka is world class, but we need someone who can compete with Bukayo Saka. Some people may say Jared Bowen. I know he can play across the front three, which is good. Which is good, I think, for what Arsenal may need. Like, I know you've touched on it before on Twitter that Arsenal may look for a wide forward, or they should be targeting a wide forward that can play across the front three and maybe at times playing the number 9 role. Jared Bowen can do that, but is he worth 80 million? No. So for me, if Arsenal say can wait a year and it's an opportunity presents itself with a loan opportunity, maybe something we should ponder. But again, it has to be the right name. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense just to fork out money on wages just to bring another player into the squad.
Indeed. We are going to wrap things up there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Over the weekend, we also managed to hit 25,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for the continued support that you've given to the channel. Considering the fact we started this channel back in September of last year, we've not yet hit our year anniversary of the first episode on the channel. Hitting that 25,000 is madness. And obviously a lot of props goes on to the people that have worked behind the scenes, people that are no longer at the channel as well, that have moved on to other things too. A massive thank you to all of them. And Chris and Bailey will be back on the show soon. Chris is still suffering with a lot of pain with his ankle. I don't know why this kid plays football. Clearly just, Jack Wilshere in the making, this guy.
100%.
Needs but we wish you the best, Chris, and hope you're on the mend still. And I haven't seen Bailey. You know, apparently he came back from holiday, but I've not seen him since then. Apparently he might have a day off today. So, you know,
He's probably
sure
gone away
it's all
again,
fine.
TC. He's probably gone away on holiday again.
Maybe. I feel like I've not seen him in ages. I don't know what he's doing. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully Bailey be back on the channel probably tomorrow, I believe. So you'll see Bailey back very, very soon, and hopefully Chris will return as well. But Umar, thank you for joining me as always. Appreciate your time.
No worries, TC. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Chatbox. Thank you for tuning in. Do drop a like. Do subscribe if you're new. And we're back with another show a little bit later on today. And, of course, one tomorrow morning, as usual, at 10 a.m. UK time. See you soon. Have a great day. And, as always, keep following us down the Arsenal way.